Hey everyone, and welcome to EasyDev. So if you're a developer, you've probably been there. You start a new project, everything's clean and beautiful, but pretty soon it starts to look like a complete monster. Well, in this explainer, we're going to tackle that beast head-on. We're talking about the foundational UI architectural patterns that bring order to all that chaos.
And yeah, that monster has a name, spaghetti code. You know that sinking feeling, right? You open a file and it's just a tangled mess. UI logic, business rules, data stuff, all mashed together. It's confusing, it's frustrating, and it is the exact problem that architectural patterns were invented to solve.
And the symptoms are always the same. When your button-click code is mixed in with your database logic, trying to write a simple test becomes a nightmare. This makes the whole thing super brittle and scary to maintain because changing one little thing over here might break something totally unrelated over there. And the result? More bugs and way more headaches for you and your team.
But don't worry, there is a solution. Think of architectural patterns less like rigid rules and more like proven blueprints. They're designed specifically to help us separate an application's different jobs, or concerns, into their own neat, tidy boxes. This helps us write code that's cleaner, easier to scale, and way less buggy.
So let's start at the beginning, with the original blueprint that kicked this whole idea off for user interfaces, the Model View Controller Pattern, or, as you'll always hear it, MVC.
And when I say original, I mean it. MVC goes all the way back to the late 1970s. It was invented to handle the complexity of the first graphical desktop apps. But here's the cool part. Its legacy is still incredibly strong today, especially on the web, where it's the backbone for huge frameworks like Ruby on Rails and ASP.NET.
Okay, so MVC is built on three really clear roles. First, you've got the model. That's the brains of the operation. It handles all the data and business rules. Then you have the view, which is simply what the user sees, the UI itself. And finally, you have the controller, which is kind of like a traffic cop, taking all the user's clicks and keyboard taps and telling the model and the view what to do next.
So here's how that data flows. A user clicks a button on the view. That action gets sent to the controller. The controller then says, okay, I need to update the data, so it talks to the model. Then the controller decides which view to show the user and hands it the updated data from the model. See how the controller is right in the middle directing all the traffic?
Now, one of the great things about MVC is that developers can work on the model, the view, and the controller all at the same time. But it's not perfect. In really big apps, that controller, our traffic cop, starts doing way too much. It gets bloated and huge, which leads to the infamous massive view controller problem, making the code, you guessed it, really hard to test and maintain.
And that very problem, the massive view controller, is exactly what led to the next evolution in our story, the Model View Presenter Pattern, or MVP. It was designed with one main goal in mind, making our code easier to test.
In MVP, the model's job is exactly the same. It still holds the data. The big change is what happens to the view and the controller. The controller is replaced by a presenter, and the view becomes completely passive. I mean, we make it as dumb as possible. All it does is display whatever the presenter tells it to, and then it passes user actions, like clicks, straight to the presenter. All the logic lives in the presenter now. So the data flow here is way more strict. The user interacts with the view. The view immediately tells the presenter about it. The presenter then goes and talks to the model to get or update data. And then the presenter turns back around and tells the view exactly what to show. The most important rule here, the view and the model never, ever speak to each other directly. The presenter is the only mediator.
So why go through all this trouble? Well, the huge win is testability. Because the view is so simple and passive, you can easily create a fake or mock version of it in your tests. This lets you test all the complex logic in your presenter without ever needing a real UI to be running. The downside? It can sometimes feel like you're writing a little more setup code to get everything connected.
All right, so as apps got even more complex and users expected them to be super responsive, another pattern started to take over, this one coming out of Microsoft. Get ready for the Model View View Model, or MVVM.
Okay, you know the drill by now. The model is still our data and business logic layer. The view is still our UI. The new player here is the view model. You can think of it as a model specifically for the view, but its real superpower is something called data binding. This is basically a magic link that automatically keeps the view and the view model in sync.
And this is where MVVM just feels like magic. Because of data binding, if a piece of data changes in the view model, the view updates automatically,
without you writing any code to do it. And it goes both ways. If a user types their name into a text box in the view, a property in the view model updates instantly. This two-way communication cuts out a massive amount of boring UI update code. This automation makes MVVM absolutely fantastic for really complex, interactive UIs. Testability is also top-notch because the view model has no idea that the view even exists. So what are the downsides? Well, that data binding magic can have a tiny performance cost, and the whole concept can definitely be a bit more to wrap your head around when you're just starting out.
Okay, deep breath. We've covered the big three. Now, to really let it all sink in, let's put them side by side for a direct comparison.
You can really see the evolution here, can't you? We start with MVC, which is pretty tightly coupled, making it harder to test. Then we move to MVP, which loosens things up to make testing a priority. And finally, we get to MVVM, which is totally decoupled thanks to data binding, giving us the best testability and the most automation. Each one found its perfect home, from traditional websites to the modern mobile and desktop apps we use every day.
So, this all leads us to the million-dollar question. Which one of these should you actually choose for your next project? Well, first, just know that the story doesn't end here. New patterns are popping up all the time. You'll hear about things like MVI for reactive apps or VIP in the iOS world. They all build on these same core ideas, but for now, let's just focus on making the right choice between our big three.
So here's a simple guide. If you're building a pretty standard website with a framework like Ruby on Rails, MVC is a fantastic and natural choice. If you're working on an app where unit testing is the absolute top priority and you don't have fancy data binding, MVP is a really strong option. But for most complex, modern apps you'll build today on web, mobile, or desktop, MVVM is probably going to be your best friend, especially if your framework supports data binding out of the box. And this really brings us to the single most important thing I want you to take away from all of this. There is no such thing as the best pattern. The only thing that matters is picking the right pattern for the job you're doing. It always depends on the project.
At the end of the day, MVC, MVP, and MVVM are all just different tools for solving that same core problem, saving your code from becoming a tangled spaghetti mess. They give you a structure that makes your app easier to build, easier to test, and easier to maintain. And choosing the right one isn't just some academic exercise, it's a practical choice that will save you a ton of time and prevent a whole lot of bugs.
I really hope this helped untangle these patterns for you. If you learned something new, do me a favor and hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to EasyDev for more guides that make complicated stuff simple. In our next video, we're going to peek into the future and look at some of those newer patterns we mentioned earlier. Thanks for watching, and happy coding!